Coming up.
When he left, he took my whole comic book collection with him. This comic book collection that I had started when I was 12 years old.
I believe we should divide them 50-50. I want to sell the comic books. And
You don't
give
even
them.
like them.
You fall in love with the things your partner loves.
What are comic books? Why didn't this get resolved in divorce court? You didn't dissolve and separate your property issues in your divorce?
We just thought that we would just do it like 50-50, and that's what we agreed on. And we weren't really clear on like the specifics of 50-50, but those comic books were mine to begin with.
How you gonna say 50-50? You don't know what the 50-50 is.
We divided it based on like our assets.
Okay, what were the assets?
We were at an apartment, we had some savings. Most of it was really splitting just like the finances. You know, he took whatever furnitures that he bought.
So then how did we get here to a pool cue and a camera and a comic book collection? Why wasn't that included in the assets?
Your Honor, we sort of had an agreement that we take our own personal effects. Some items were in question. The comic book collection was one of them. She was collecting them for years, but after we were married, I sort of got into it myself and spent several $100s.
Okay, but still, that's taken up in divorce court. What is and what isn't a personal effect? That was never brought up before that court?
No, I guess we never.
So what happened to the pool cue and the camera? You forgot you had that too?
It was in my car. He could have came and asked me for it at any time. I wasn't trying to keep it.
Okay, but since you decided and agreed to divide personal effects, why is that pool cue and camera personal to him versus you?
He had his stuff in my car, and you know, in the divorce, I kept my car. So, you know, he just never.
How long have you been divorced?
It only happened like months ago. It's still pretty fresh.
Why didn't you get your comic book collection then?
He was to stay at the apartment until he saved enough to leave. And when he left, he took my whole comic book collection with him. This comic book collection that I had started when I was 12 years old.
Okay, you started it at 12, but you continued to purchase comic books when you were adults?
I love
when you were
comic
married?
books. Yes.
So then you should know which comic books were purchased during the marriage.
He purchased them for me as gifts. I assumed that they were gifts because he loved me and he knew that I love comic books.
Okay, but that's not my question. What's the comic books you purchased during the marriage? You can itemize those, right?
Yes. So I have a list right here.
Okay, because this is an easy fix. This is a real easy fix. Because you should have done all this in divorce court, so you're not going to waste my time up here. The list that where you named the specific comic books, were those purchased during the marriage or before?
Those are the most expensive comics.
What did I ask you?
Which ones were purchased during the marriage?
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me that?
There was many that was purchased during the marriage because I would purchase some and he would purchase some, and it was all part of my collection.
So you don't know. You really can't remember at this point.
I can list them all later, but at this point, I don't have that.
You list them later, you'll be in somebody else's court saying, we left some out of the list. I don't want this issue to ever come up again. Do you know?
Your Honor, it is a bit hazy which comic books were purchased when and by who, which is why I believe we should divide them 50-50. I want to sell the comic books and
You don't
give
even
them.
like them.
Oh, I love those comics.
All of a sudden.
You fall in love with the things your partner loves.
What are comic books?
They're in a safety deposit box right now.
Your
Write
Honor,
down the safety deposit box number
Why are you?
and give her the key. Look, I'm not going to waste all this time over a comic book collection.
No.
You can take that pool cue and that camera.
I feel like I'm owed half of these comics.
Now, this is absolutely ridiculous. The comic books are in the safe deposit box. You deliberately didn't bring them here today, right?
Well, yes.
So I'm going to order that you get them here to this court in the next 24 hours. And then you two come back to this court in the next 24 hours, and you sit down and you be able to figure out, she should have a real clear understanding which ones she had since she was 12 and all through high school, and which ones you guys bought during the marriage. And then all the ones that she had before go to her. And the ones you guys bought during the marriage, you all going to figure out who gets which. You're going to each get, if it's 6 of them, each of you get 3. If it's 10, each of you gets 5. But whichever ones were bought during the marriage, each get half. That's the order. And until you do that, then you don't get that pool cue and the camera. That's the order of the court. Goodbye.
I think this is totally on point. You know, the thing is like she started this when she was 12, so she probably has tens, maybe even hundreds of comic books. I don't know how large the collection is, but she has a lot that she built before she even met him. And like, I don't see a world at all where he should have the entire collection. Why does he have the entire collection? He seems to not even really care about it. He's just being petty. What do you guys think about the judgment? Do you think it was too much, too little, or just right? I would love to know your thoughts. Let me know. Love ya.